Hey, it's Chris. What do you think of 2023, right? The best of those games in the moment, in the hotness in the year of the century. But now, looking back at them, let's tier rank them. Where do I think they are? My thoughts on them, looking back. And, as always, it's going to be spicy. Going to give you some opinions. Let me know what you think and how wrong I am down below. Let's go. So I did the compilation of all of the who's who of 2023. I took the top 16 games and I'm going to rank them with my thoughts looking back on them now, and I'm going to tier rank them in order of preference, right? Whew, that's spicy. You ready? Let's do it. So here we go, right? We are tier ranking this sucker, and what we've got going on here is you can see down below all of the various games that we've got. So we're going to be taking a look here and doing these one by one, giving some discussion, giving some illumination, giving some thought. And easy to hardest, highest to lowest. Well, let's go, right? Earth right here. Inside Up Games, giving you the ultimate tableau builder, right? Acclaimed as the game of the year, of the century, of the new #1 of all time, right? For some people, but overall on tons of lists. You know what? It's very divisive though. Some people think it's dry, some people think it takes too long, there's too much tableau building for what it is. You know what? I like it. I'm actually going to give it an A. Again, not saying that it's perfect, but saying that it's bringing something to the table that is digestible, slightly long for what it is. I don't really think the abundance expansion excites me. It was good, but it was one of those where I almost just like what the base game is bringing. And the tableau management with the different colors and the growth and the dirt and all of those aspects is just, it's pleasing. It's not going to be the most strategic. It's going to be a little mathy at some point. You're going to try and crunch the numbers if you're one of those people, but sometimes you just play and have fun with it too, which is why I put it where it is. Then let's just go right in the order I've got them sitting here, right? Marvel Zombicide, Marvel Zombies. Ooh, millions and millions of dollars on crowdfunding, folks. Where is that going to get us? Well, you know, again, I like me a good crawl game. I don't mind the beer and pretzels. Let's go C. In the sense that if somebody brings that to game night, if somebody really wants to play it, I'm not going to not want to play it. It's a fun-ish game. But just like the other Zombicides, I'd make the argument of how different is this? If you've got one, you've got them all, pretty much. Slight nuances here, slight nuances there. Marvel IP, expansions kind of out the window in terms of what's good and, you know, how do you tell from that aspect of things? And ultimately, the good stuff is always locked behind, you know, the really, really end game situations. And chucking the dice, the Marvel character asymmetry powers are great. But ultimately, it's not one of the crawls that I really go, wow, do I really want to get this back to the table repeatedly? So then White Castle, right? Probably the most prolific of all of the Euro-style games from 2023. Surprisingly, actually, of all these games of the Euro type, apart from Hegemony down the list, which we'll get to, it's the highest ranked. It's ranked higher than Voidfall. It's ranked higher than Barcelona. It's ranked higher than Darwin's Journey. That's pretty freaking incredible. So, you know what? We're going to give it a B. You know what? B plus though. B plus. And again, I think it's actually a great weight. I think the weight actually, surprisingly, in this case, didn't play against it, because with things like Voidfall and Hegemony and Darwin's Journey, right? Only the heavies are going to look at those games in the first place. So the fact that you have probably heavier gamers and lighter gamers overall, both weighing in on White Castle, and for it to be above that from a, you know, dice worker placement mechanic style of things, I give it kudos, right? Is it really the 100th best game of all time? Well, what have you done for me lately? Hotness says so. Next game. So Thunder Road Vendetta, right? It's Mad Max, the board game, Restoration Games, me eating crow, not thinking it was going to be good. Just got my Carnival of Chaos expansion to go along with things. I mean, it's literally Demolition Derby, the board game, with Carnival of Chaos now allowing you to just do essentially that without even having the race portion of things. Do you need the Maximum Chrome Edition? No, you pick up 1 or 2 expansions and you call it good. So where do you think this one's going? Oh boy, it's S tier. Which, You know what? Personal preference. I love some Take That. I love some Chaos. I love this game for what it is. Not what I want it to be, but what it actually is. This is a forever game for me, personally speaking. And for a crazy, chaotic Take That style of game, it's sitting in the 400s BoardGameGeek overall, 61 thematic, and 67th family best game ever. Did Restoration knock it out of the park, bringing this one back? Abso-freaking-lutely. No doubts. And it appeals to a lot of the non-Amerithrash people in the first place, which is why it's got an 8 rating right now as a whole, with lots of ratings, 3,900 total. Now, Apiary. Apiary is a tricky one from Stonemaier. With the little expansion they put out, with the sort of tumbling dice that slowly make your worker placements a little bit more powerful as you're going to the locations, it probably has 1 or 2 more locations on the board than I would fare liking from that aspect of things. So, you know what? I'm going to slot it here actually in the C category. It's fine for me. I don't think I've actually gotten rid of my copy at this point, but it also wouldn't take me much to do so either. It's one of those, I haven't gotten the right trade or the right dollar value for it, but I'd be not really missing it at all from that aspect. I think it's, again, in the middling of the Euros where you go, is this one your ilk? Oh, great. If it is, awesome. If it's not, because it's similar in some ways, although I give slight kudos there for doing something different. So there is some standout. The 20 plus whatever they said factions that are going along with it, the asymmetry there is not nearly enough to make me really want to go back to it and just really digest it for what it is for a 2+ hour Euro-ish game. Then we're going with the most popular cooperative game, probably to come out in the last year, 2 years, maybe even 3 almost. One of in the form of a dice placement piloting game. Yeah, Sky Team. And believe it or not, this is the highest ranked game, period, of 2023's batch here. This is ranked above Hegemony. It's like 48th at the time of me filming this, 3rd best ranked family game. 2 players only. Expansion just being released in the form of Turbulence. Balancing your plane through the use of dice to stabilize, control, everything that you're going to be simulating from a piloting aspect, all at the different airports that you're going to be trying to land at and provide different challenges to, right? It's winning a bunch of awards. And yeah, right? We have to rank it accordingly then. And as a cooperative game lover, right, where do you think this is going to go? Yeah, we're going to land at S tier. You know, I'm going to put it behind Thunder Road Vendetta just because I feel like as a 2-player game, it's a little bit more limited in that aspect for the fun factor, but S tier for sure. Then Darwin's Journey, right? Heavy Euro worker placement. How many of those do you have? Is this one the standout one for you? 5 rounds of Euro heaviness, right? As you upgrade your workers to learn their professions better and just progress. This is not my type of game whatsoever. I have no interest in it. It has no appeal to me. This is going to piss people off. I just, pass, right? There you go. Whew. You're going to let me know in the comment section down below how wrong I am, right? Gonna rile some people up with this one. But the next one, we're just speaking of riling people up. Ticket to Ride Legacy, right? Okay, so even with Black Friday deals, it didn't get down below like $90. So as a one-off 12 mission, 12 scenario based Ticket to Ride with slight versions of paying for coin and when you score and how you score those different dynamics, is it really worth that much money for a conjoined sessions of Ticket to Ride? So what do you think I'm going to say about that, right? Again, not going to argue that it might not be good for you, but value-wise, replayability, oh, it's Chris, it's the experience. You know what? I'm a hypocrite. Sometimes the experience matters to me and sometimes it doesn't. But, I can't endorse this, especially at the retail side of things of a game going $100 for 12 sessions in that regard. So again, I'm going to make it spicy. I'm going to give this a D+. You know what? Let's put it above Darwin's Journey, though, as a whole. So there you go, right? Then, if you saw what was coming up next, Expeditions! Expeditions from Stonemaier. I mean, Apiary and Expeditions going head-to-head. Modular, sort of nice, little clever action system where you put your cube down, and the thing you don't mark, or the two things you don't mark, are the actions you're taking as you're hopping from these hexagonal resource management style grids, gathering your cards and slathering them around side your individual player board to upgrade it and to engine build and to, well, score before the end of the game. And again, it's fine. It's one of those, though, it felt very samey. And the hexagonal, not as modular system that they've got, just, it made it just kind of drier for me than I like. And I like the idea of that system of the putting it down and then getting the other actions. But ultimately, I just didn't have as much fun with it as I was hoping. So, it's probably, before Apiary, but below Marvel Zombies for me at this point. Now we have an Arcane Wonders situation with World Wonders as a tile-laying world-ish building with monuments, 3D wooden pieces that you're slowly utilizing with a clever little money system that always allows you to use it up or buy things because the monuments are whatever you want to pay. But the allocation of them on the board and what can touch what and what can't touch what is rather clever. They didn't overdo it with the World Mundo expansion of just giving you more of the good stuff. So that being said, it's a great game. It's a great game. It was, I think, just outside or just inside my top 10 of 2023 when I did this previously. And so I'm actually going to put it right here, right below White Castle, which I still put in the B+ range, by the way. World Wonders, again, is probably in the B+ range from that aspect in terms of just enjoyment, ease of play, and tiling. When I think of something like a Nizia tile layer of those versus World Wonders, I still go back to the Nizia games. And so I'm not going to get rid of World Wonders. It's in that tier category, but I just can't also probably, put it any higher either at this point. And now, Voidfall, right? We talked about it on the channel previously. I reviewed it. I got rid of it. Mind Clash's Piece de Resistance, their, crown jewel, if you will. The heavy of the heavy worker placements. Iconography laden that is unintuitive. And one of the best solo games now of all time, too. BoardGameGeek Solo Guild had it in the top, 25. How do you feel? Can you play a good game like this as well in the cooperative, competitive, and solo versions of things? Does it all pan out equally in your mind in that regard? For me, there's too much going on. It's too heavy. There's too much ambiguity. There's too much iconography. I enjoy it for what it could be, but my brain doesn't work that way. So because of that, when I'm looking at this, again, not a bad game. I think overarchingly, it's one of the, again, highest ranked games on this list. It falls below only about 3 or 4 others because the Euro games are highly, highly well rated in this year. But for me personally, if I was being, objective, I'd probably put it up here or on here. But personally speaking, I'm going to put it right here, taste-wise, for me right now. Again, inaccessibility and accessibility matter to me a lot. And that's why it gets downgraded to there, not because it's a bad game, but because of those factors as setup, tear down, all of those issues to go along with it. Now, surprisingly, actually, the worst rated Euro game on this list, I know, right? Danny Garcia's Board and Dice from 2023 with the ranking of only 710, which any other year, any other crowdfunding campaign from a year or two ago on the Euro side of things, this would surpass almost every single one. Because when I do those lookbacks, none of them are as high as that, right? You're building Barcelona as a new expansion to the city. Variable rounds, 3 scoring phases. Each round, get a turn with 2 or more actions of building and then prep. So how does it compare? I guess in that sense, well, when you've got this other stiff competition, it's going to be a little shorter than, say, your Darwin's Journey. I think it's more interesting, personally, than an Apiary. I'd rank it somewhere here between Voidfall and Expeditions. So I'm going to put it right there. I think Voidfall is probably a more consistent game overall. Garth will only get the edge there just from, again, sheer accessibility standpoint. You know what? So we're going to put it right there, even though, I could easily be persuaded to move it down here because I give Voidfall credit for being innovative, at least in those ways, where Barcelona, again, it reminds me of a couple more of the recent releases that you just go, it was fine as well. But fine with a 7.5-ish or 7.8 in this case is not necessarily enough personally if I'm ranking a game 7.5 to get me to want to play it a ton more. It's not bad. It's just like I'm clearly also going to rate games that are 8s and 9s within the same realm and want to play those because table time, table space, and bandwidth is, well, limited. So that's why I kind of got to put it there. Then Tales to Amaze, right? Tales to Amaze. Unmatched. It pulled me back into Unmatched. I really wasn't intrigued in Unmatched at all until the cooperative side of things came out. And I think it's over deluxeified on the crowdfunding side of things. I think the retail version is just as good. I like the 2 bosses, but ultimately, too, it's not enough bosses. And I really want to see them port over something else boss-wise apart from just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. Those things aside, though, where does it fall for me? Overall, as a cooperative game, I can still use my good guys fighting the bad guys style of things. I mean, honestly, it falls up here in front of Earth. I just, I'm going to go play it faster than anything else. Accessibility, the dynamics, the problem being that all of the heroes and stuff aren't necessarily created equal. You can get screwed in a game like this cooperatively, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. So now you're probably wondering if you're paying close attention, right? Hegemony is up next. Hegemony's up next. He just railed on Voidfall and accessibility. Hegemony is a 4-player game. You need 4 players. You need 3 hours-ish or more, depending on what number game it is that you're learning how to play it in. You need to have dynamics. You need to have, knowledge of what you're doing and potentially like a root situation, what other people are doing. And so, again, arguably, people say that that is clearly the best player count, and the lower player counts are suboptimal. So if they're that suboptimal, and if it's that hard to potentially table it, you have to know your group. So again, I'm going to put it actually, right below Voidfall in that sense, because I just look at it and I go, it's fantastic for what it is, but it's niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. And if you fit that niche, oh boy, does it slam up and nicely line up with you. But if you don't, it's not one that you're just going to be able to adapt to and really get the depth of experience that you're looking for. 2 more, Forest Shuffle, right? Sort of your set collection, forest-esque vibes with the different animals that you're utilizing to get your strategy, which some people say, again, is a little bit of a meta, as a dominant strategy with the base game alone kind of emerged that expansions are going to fix. But of the light fillers of the last couple of years, a lot of people like it, and a lot of people just, kind of just passed over it too. I mean, it's a straightforward draw 2 cards or play them to your tableau. Pay the cost, get your points. Be aware of what other people are doing around you, though. 3 random cards at the bottom, and, well, when you draw the 3rd winner card, the game ends. Do you like that dynamic? So for that reason, again, accessibility's good. I don't know, right? It reminds me almost of a more complicated version of golf, if you will. So for me, again, I'm actually going to slot it right here. I'm okay with it. I'm not against it. But if I need an expansion to make it super good for me, that's kind of where you're going to end up being as a whole. And maybe expansions will rate it higher, but I hate having expansions needed from the get-go in that sense. So last up, if you were paying attention there, Lacuna from CMYK Games. An abstract. You just toss a bunch of different color and shape flowers onto a mat, and you draw lines between them, trying to gather up the majority of 7. So, 7 colors, and you need to have the majority of the 7 of each of the 7 colors. That's all it is. And you just rinse and repeat. You put your little marker, you grab the ones you're drawing a line between, and you position it so that you're close to the rest of them by the time you run out, that you get to collect all the ones that yours is closest to. It's that simple, it's that straightforward, and it's ranked 40th for the abstracts overall. I freaking love abstracts, and this one is no exception. Spoilers right there, right? And so for me, this one is an absolutely tremendous game. My kids love it. I love playing it. My wife loves it. It just fits everything so very nicely. Is it the best abstract? No. But is it going to slot right here, A+, right below a Sky Team situation? Absolutely. So there you go. Tier ranking. The best 16 games from 2023. Now looking back with my own personal preferences. Ooh. Let me know what you think. And you know what? We're going to do this for at least another year or 2. And, it's 2024 currently, so it's going to be interesting to see when those lists come out from 2024. I think things are going to be all over the place. And it's going to be fun to talk about it. I just like talking about board games. You like it? Shoot me a sub. Have a great freaking day. Stay classy. Peace out. See you around.